Alright, today I'm going to show y'all stick welding. Now, I don't have my stick welder here to demonstrate with, it's at my grandparents' house. But I can basically show you how it works. Now, with stick welding, you have stick electrodes, which come in a box like this. Now, you open it up, and this is a stick electrode. As you can tell by the tip, you got your wire, or not really wire, you got your rod with the flux around it. This is a 6011. It's kind of like an all-purpose stick welding stick. Stick welding is popular with pipe welders or welders that need to be mobile because they make mobile stick welders. Like, you can go and anywhere that sells a welder, you ought to be able to find it's like a generator that has a 110 plug, a 220 plug, and two places to put a positive and negative lead. And basically what stick welding is, you have something that looks like jumper cables. Your ground clamp is going to be one, and you put this in the other clamp, which is called an electrode. And the way I like to do it, at least, is I put it between these two fingers and I'll hold the electrode up here, and you strike it on the metal, and then you just kind of start and you just kind of slowly work the stick down, and it'll melt the weld. The strike will create the arc, and then it'll start melting the metal together, and you'll just kind of fill it in. Now, you got to keep the end of your rod pretty close to the metal. Have it too far away and it'll just burn an arc. Have it too close and it'll get stuck to the metal. Basically, just kind of strike it and then just start welding and slowly move your hand down to fill it in. And the stick welder that I have, that's basically all in techniques that I can think of, but the stick welder that I have is a Lincoln Electric 220 tombstone welder. Now with stick welders and even regular welders, depends on what you're welding, you'll need different polarities, AC or DC. Now, my stick welder has AC, then it has DC negative and DC positive. I've tried it on DC negative and DC positive. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get it to do right. So I weld on AC with that. And also with stick welders, instead of having to adjust your wire speed, you have to adjust amperage. I like to weld on like 70, 80 amps. Depends on what I'm welding, how thick it is. But that's basically all I can think of in techniques. Now, I'm going to show y'all, I wrote down before I started the video, or drew it at least, some of the techniques people use for connecting the metal together. And that would be that one. Now, the first one up there is basically this works for stick welding or wire feed welding. You just kind of start at a point and go up, then bring it back down, up and down in between the two pieces of metal. Just kind of connect them together. And you do that also with a wire feed. You go up and down, up and down. And that one works pretty good. I don't have a favorite in any of these. They all work just as good to me. Now, the second one, right here, is basically like making little loops or little circles, some people call it. And what it is, and how you do it, is you basically, with this, you strike it and then you just start, and then you go up and down, just make little circles connecting the two pieces of metal together. And you can do that with your wire feed and just start it and just kind of work your way in little circles. The third one is one that I found in one of my buddies. His mom's dad, which would be his grandfather, had a lessons in arc welding book. It's like from the 40s or something. It was around that era. And it works stick welding. Now you can also use it with wire feed. Anything that uses an arc to form two pieces of metal together. The third one, try to get closer for you, is basically figure eights. Now I never heard of that before, but I kind of like it because it's different. And what it is you just kind of strike it, and then you just make little figure eights connecting them together in between the two pieces of metal. You can do that with your welder also. Just start, create little figure eights connecting the two pieces of metal together. And the last one you can use with MIG, stick, flux core, anything that's really hot enough. I like to do it on a butt weld. Now, a butt weld is when you're welding two pieces of metal together like this, just one goes on top of the other. And in here you could do that just straight, or you could do your little circles, or you could do the figure eights, or you could do just the up and down technique. But with the last one, it's pretty good at it. You put it in the corner at like a 45-degree angle, and you just start and you just drag it. You know what I'm saying? With this, you'd strike it, start, and then drag it. Same with this one, you just start and drag it. And the difference between a 110 volt welder, which is what I have here, and a 220 volt welder, which is what I have as a stick welder over there at my grandparents', is a 110 volt, the most it'll get good penetration on is 1/8 inch. So if you're working on exhaust or something like that, something small, a 110 volt welder would do good. Now you can use 220 for small stuff too, but if you're not going to be welding big stuff, I wouldn't spend the money to get a 220 volt. I'd just get a 110 volt. But if you are going to be welding big stuff, you can just get a 220 volt and you can weld everything with it. You just have to adjust it some for smaller stuff. I'm not sure what the maximum is on 220 volt for getting good penetration, but I know that it's bigger than an 1/8 inch. Now, a technique, this is a 6011 rod, which is your all-purpose rod. It's popular with people because you can do just about anything. It's great at, welding horizontally, diagonally, vertically. It's alright at welding vertically. You can weld it upside down. You're welding something like that, you can weld it upside down. One that's really good at welding upside down, it's popular with pipe welders too, is 7018 rod. The 7018 rod will, when you start welding up there, it'll stay up there. Now you'll have slag that comes down, but not big clumps of puddle coming down. It'll stay up there where you're welding. Don't quote me on that. It's either 7014 or 7018 that's good at it. I believe it's 7018. And the way you weld something very big together, let's say like an inch, you're welding something together that's an inch thick. Let me draw this up for you. I messed up. You basically cut a bevel in it. Now what is a bevel? See that little 45-degree slope? That's a bevel. You cut a bevel, or grind a bevel in two spots of it, and then what you do is you do your root pass, which is your first one, and then you'll fill the rest of it in with weld, like that. And what pipe welders do is they'll get a 6010 rod, and they'll do that, and then they'll get a 70-18 rod, and then they'll go over top of it, something like that, or they might go in between the beads. Something like that. And that goes with stick welding or wire feed or anything. Cutting bevels and stuff will help you get better penetration. Well, not better penetration, it'll help it hold better. Another thing I wanted to go over with the stick welding, like I said, this 6011. There's all kinds of different size rods you can use. Here is a smaller 6011 rod. You can tell the difference. I haven't used the smaller ones. I'm not sure what you need smaller ones for because I'm fairly new at stick welding, but I've practiced at it a lot using 6011s. And the 60 would be the first number. And what the 60 means is if you weld it right, the weld will hold 60,000 pounds of pressure. And how they test that is they'll weld something together and then they'll hook something up to it that'll pull it, and they'll pull it up until the point it breaks, and they'll measure that. Like with a 70-18 rod, that can hold 70,000 pounds if done right. The next number, I can't remember what it stands for, but the last number is flux. So you got your 60-11, 70-18, 60-10. You can get 80-11s or something like that, 80-14s. You can get stick electrodes for welding aluminum, just like you can get wire for welding aluminum. You can get all different kinds of stuff for welding all kinds of different things. And one thing I forgot to show y'all in the last video is what I have my phone in right now. I just made it before I made the last video. So let me show that to y'all right fast. It's basically an exhaust clamp welded to a nail. I needed somewhere to put my phone so y'all could see the welding. So what I did was I put a nail in the stud of the wall and then put the exhaust clamp on top of it and welded that to the nail basically. So that's how I did that. And that's basically all I got for y'all. Thank you for watching. I'll try to get more videos out if I'm not too busy. But I'll see you on the next one.